Good Sunday morning. We're back to this again because I'm back at work again, and it was nice to come back and see everybody again. But we're dealing with this storm XYZ. We had a storm every weekend since Christmas. This is Storm Georgie Porgy or some shite like that, whatever name they give it. We'll have you have a woman storm and a male storm. They'll have transgender storms next. Storm Fontaine or something. Yeah. Whatever. Listen, so I was talking to people. The boss was saying we might be shut down next week because of the coronavirus. Okay, so coronavirus is now officially in the Republic of Ireland. Though it was, I think, already in Northern Ireland, but apparently it's not. The politicians down here were salivating. They were like, "Oh, it's getting closer. It's in England. It's in Liverpool. It's in Northern Ireland. Ooh, it's going to be here next. Control, bureaucracy, bullshit, hysteria, media, and all this stuff." Now, not to play down people who are getting sick with the virus, but there is a 98% recovery rate. But, a lot of those things depend on how old you are, what your health would be like, what your, even where you live. It would be in like a third world country, it could be horrific. In a suburb in the West, it might not be. So, again, I saw a thing in the Telegraph yesterday that there's been no industrial output put in huge areas of China because everyone's been sent home because of the virus. And then there's the conspiratorial aspect that they're all dead. But I don't think that's true. But you never know. Or you never even know that that story even about them being sent home is even true. It's hard to believe anything in the media anymore. But, of course, the Irish politicians are absolutely delighted that coronavirus is in Ireland now, because then they can be seen to be what they long to be, statesmen, instead of fuckwits. And in typical Irish government style, they've unleashed a coronavirus strategy, which does it involve going down to the health service executive and planning a contingency plan of emergency? Does it involve shutting down the border so all the illegal immigrants can't come in? No. They've done what they always do. They've hired a public relations firm. We now have a coronavirus logo from a graphic design house. And there's the government, the Minister for Ineptitude, whatever his name is. It doesn't matter because they're all the same, whatever the party. And or the political philosophy, and he's standing in front of the coronavirus emergency logo on a big graphic board created specially for it to make him look like a statesman. And I'm sure it's happening in your country as well. Politicians don't govern anymore. They don't administrate anymore. They front PR campaigns. Because the average politician is a simpleton compared to the average person in society. No sane or normal person doesn't want to be a politician. And this fuckwit, and that's been generous. Standing there with his gormless face, talking about we've done this. Now, what they've done is they've done things like they cancelled the Ireland-Italy rugby match, and they sent the Italian men in the peak of their fitness back home to Italy, saying, you Italians can't come to Ireland. No, you might contaminate us. No, this is literally what it's like. Italian athletes in the peak of their fitness. None of them have the coronavirus, but they stopped them from playing in Ireland because there's hype about in Italy. Everyone's dying in the north of Italy, where rugby is like more popular than any other part of Italy, and they're all dying up there. And meanwhile, I'm talking to my friends in Turin, and they're saying, "Yeah, it's only old people have died. Everyone else is ignoring it. There's no big crisis." But of course, at the same time, they stop Italian, men in the peak of their fitness that don't have coronavirus. Here's what it's like regarding the illegal immigrants coming into Ireland. They're all coming in, dog. Woo! All coming in. Now, with immigration, I understand that people immigrate and move to other countries for all kinds of reasons. But during a time of a plague, and let's call it what it is, a plague, you don't screen illegal immigrants, but you screen the Italian rugby team, and you say, no. Go home now, you Italians. Come on in, you Sudanese, you Afghans. Come on in. Come on in, you're welcome, you're welcome. Come on, here's my hotel down in County Kerry, yeah? It's a provision centre. The government is paying me €10,000 a week to put you fuckers up. Come on, sure. Ireland landed a welcome. Sure, didn't we go to America and everybody threw rose petals at our feet? This kind of fucking thing. And that's Irish government not Irish people so much. That's Irish government in a nutshell, and mass media. Now this coronavirus thing, and I always think of that Paul Simon song. Her name was Mona, the Queen of Corona. See me and Julio down in the isolation ward. You know, it's like that's what it reminds me of. That's every time I hear it. Not Corona beer. I think of that Paul Simon song, Mona, the Queen of Corona. Even the name Corona, crown. I mean, you can look at all the archetypal things and everything, the crown, what's going on. Forget about that. It's just like the ineptitude of these politicians and governments, and so it's ridiculous. Now, will people die? Of course they will. Will people survive? Of course they will. Now, is it worse than SARS? I don't know. Is it worse than SWAT? They do these things every few years. They give us a new one. It always seems to be there's a new plague to wipe us out. And then you hear nothing about it a few weeks later. And but this is the first time I've ever heard them say like things like at my job saying we might have to close the place down until this passes. Now, there's a part of me thinks that we could be dealing with a kind of a war. Better way to destroy Chinese industry than put them out, get them all out of their factories. And you know, this kind of thing, because this is also, you know, like, with the exception of intelligent countries like Switzerland and no one else in Europe, every other European country has moved their industries over to China, and lots of America has done that as well. And so all the manufacturing is now done in China. So the supply chain is now going to be severely damaged. And now, hopefully, part of me thinks that hopefully it's crucified the imports and exports from China to the point where the globalists are, you know, forget their greed for 5 minutes, for 5 minutes, and realize if we made things in different countries closer to where the market is, we wouldn't have to be affected by Chinese people dropping dead from coronavirus. This is what it takes for them to do that, because they don't think properly. And this is like every weekend we've had a storm, and you know, it hasn't helped. My leg is a lot better, but it's taking a long time to heal because it is damp cold weather. The countryside looks appalling. It's just muck and puddles everywhere. The poor farm animals, they're all getting sick because there's been no deep frost to kill off the bacteria, just rain. And I was talking to, because I work near an airport, I speak to the pilots and from the military and stuff. They were saying that the jet stream has been stagnant this year. It's literally been a straight line across the world. It has not dropped or gone up. So this is why it's just, what's happening is it's just rain coming up from the Gulf of Mexico, coming up to Western Europe and just pouring, and non-stop, week after week. Rain, rain, rain. So it's Western Europe has been soaked from Norway down to France. And this is because the jet stream hasn't altered. So this is the ineptitude we deal with. They tell us about global warming. They wheel out that you know, climate goblin Greta Thunberg. She was in Bristol the other day in England, warning about global warming, wearing 2 hats and 2 coats. The world doesn't make sense, as one of my friends said yesterday. Okay. Oh, there's a new film on Beyond Room 313 channel, and I'm going to make a video in a few minutes after I have a coffee on Open Source Occult TV. Her name was Mona, the Queen of Corona. See me and Julio down by the isolation ward.